What's going on, peeps? Mastermyne here. So today's video, I just want to quickly discuss my thoughts on the Shadow Lords mode for Killer Instinct. I did receive early access for the mode, as many of you have, and I just want to give my quick opinion on it. I don't want to go into it and break down everything that's in the mode, or really just go in depth. I just want to kind of have a discussion and give my opinion as to whether this mode should have even been created in the first place, because it is obvious as I'm going through it and I'm starting to learn it that they put a lot of work into it. It's the last thing that they're releasing for Season 3 officially. I'm sure we may get a couple of patches here and there. Who knows, maybe even an extra character. But as far as what they've announced and what they have planned, Shadow Lords mode was the last thing that they were really adding to this Season 3. Now, do I think that it was worth them doing that? When you consider how we didn't get stages for all the characters, and you consider that it has taken them quite a bit of time to release a PC version. Now they're releasing it for Season 3, and then in my opinion, the lack of marketing for Killer Instinct, as I mentioned before in one of my videos, even E3, they gave Tekken 7 more time than they did Killer Instinct Season 3, which I find it sad because obviously, yes, Tekken 7 is a big title, but Killer Instinct belongs to Microsoft. So when you consider these things, you just have to wonder, why did they add the Shadow Lords mode? What was the purpose of doing this? Like I said, just from going through it a few minutes, I'm noticing that quite a bit of work went into it. And I'm going to assume that the answer to that is because, one, the story modes that they've done for Season 1 and 2 weren't exactly great. And they wanted to flesh out the character stories a little bit more. They wanted to add more single-player content to attract more casual players, just like they did for the combo assists. And just like they've been trying to promote this game and trying to attract not just the hardcore audience, but the casual audience as well. So the question is, are they going to succeed in doing this? Is this plan going to work? And in my opinion, it really isn't. It's not going to make much of a difference as far as who it's going to attract and if it's going to even attract more people. I think what attracts gamers to fighting games are the characters and the ease of access and obviously word of mouth and just overall popularity. I think for Killer Instinct coming back after all these years, I am completely impressed, and I love the game and I love the franchise, and I can't wait to see what else that they come up with in the future. I absolutely overall have no complaints for Killer Instinct. But as we're discussing this and as you start to think about what the purpose of this was and that, it just becomes interesting, and these are questions worth asking. Recently, LCD and Base, two very well-known tournament players for Killer Instinct, they did a podcast, and they spoke about the future of Killer Instinct and what they think of Season 3 overall. And I love their perspective, and I always listen to what LCD has to say. I'm a big fan of the guy. He's a really good player, and he has decent insight. Good, smart kid. And, I think the problem with his approach and even with the approach from Base is that they're looking at it from tournament player level. And they're really in the minority. The community is already small, but they're really in the minority. Those are two of the best players, Killer Instinct players in the world. So from their point of view, some of the complaints that they had about, the gameplay and the changes and the characters, obviously, they come from a different position than a lot of players do. My position, I'm somewhere in between the casual player and the pro, because I consider myself pretty good. I'm pretty good at fighting games overall. I've been playing them since even before Street Fighter, man. I used to go to the arcade and play Karate Champ. Like, that's how long, I've been playing this kind of stuff. And it's cool for me to be able to get into a game and play it and be pretty good at it. But going to tournaments and doing things like that, as far as me competing, has never been anything that's really intrigued me or something that I really wanted to push. I do spend hours and hours playing these games, but to be at the pro level, you really have to dedicate yourself. Like, I mean, I'm a gamer and I love all different kind of video games and I play different kind of games, but you know, depending on my mood, I may want to play Pac-Man Champion Edition for 8 hours. I may want to play Titanfall. I may want to play Mass Effect. And if I get into any of those other games, more than likely the fighting games take a back seat for a little while, and then I always go back to them no matter what. So for me, it's something I don't have the time to do or the desire, but I really appreciate watching the pros. I mean, you know, I understand everything that's going on. I get everything. So, but just from their point of view, it's kind of limited. And even from the casual point of view, if you're looking at it just from the casual point of view, you would say, like, here's one of like the things that I thought. Like, I think that there should be a limit on combo breakers. I think that maybe 3 combo breakers you should be allowed per round. I don't think it's something that you should be able to just spam all day, every day, or that it's going to cost you something, some kind of meter or something. That's my opinion. A lot of people, both on the casual side and the pro side, would not agree with me. But I would guess that most of the casual audience would disagree with me. Why? Because they want to have that option to mash that out and get out of getting slaughtered. And they want to have that unlimited option. That's why whenever you play anyone online who's, you know, a scrub, and or I shouldn't even say scrub, just somebody who's not really good at the game, no matter how many times you lock them out, if you know, no matter what you do, they're going to just keep mashing that combo breaker out every single time. Sometimes they're just guest breaking. As soon as you land that first hit, they're already guest breaking. And they want to have that option. And you know what? Sometimes they get lucky. Sometimes they guess good. And, you know, they guess the right thing. And, you know, for whatever that's worth, I don't know if that makes the game more accessible, if that makes it more popular. But in my opinion, I think it's a little bit, you know, too much. And it's just an opinion. But no matter what you look at it, no matter what side you look at it, whether you're looking at it from a pro's perspective or veteran, or if you're looking from the casual side, in any game, there's always going to be some sort of complaints. So that brings me back to Shadow Lords. Now, this was obviously created for people who like RPG kind of style gaming, that they want to do something different and have something different in fighting games. And I really, really like what they're doing here. This is really cool. I love the fact that Conra is involved in, you know, selling you these, you know, you have the Emporium and Conra's voice is there. Best character for this, his voice, the voice actor for that is just great. I like the idea that now you can have, you know, craft these things and use them in a fight. And it's just a cool idea, and it's really great. It should have been implemented earlier in the game. Obviously, they probably didn't come up with the idea until at the end of season 2. So, you know, I can't fault them for that. And I don't fault them for anything that they're doing here. This is a great video game, and it has a lot to offer, but it's a little too late, in my opinion. What they should have spent the money on, in my opinion, should have been more stages, maybe even more characters, maybe even more marketing. I don't know if, obviously the budget for the game is probably different than the marketing aspect of it, but money is money. And I just think, yeah, you're gonna do a lot of great things, and they're doing a lot of great things. After this is done, I would say that most people feel like Killer Instinct is finished. It's a finish and it's a complete game, and we shouldn't add to it. Now, I made my case for having a season 4. I think that's not likely to happen. I think Killer Instinct is going to stay where it's at. They may add a couple of characters or a couple of stages, maybe add a few things, but I think they're going to start working on Killer Instinct Part 2. I don't know that for sure, but that just seems to be what most of the fans are requesting. And Iron Galaxy has really listened to their fans for the most part. So I think we're probably going to be headed in that direction. So This Shadow Lords mode probably might be a great thing for anybody who wants to start getting into Killer Instinct, because it gives you a good idea of how to use other characters. It has a tutorial mode, very basic. You can go to the dojo and, get a more understanding and obviously practice. And, there's tons of videos out there and tons of, information about how to play this game. Even though a lot of things have changed over the years, it's still, if you're a fighting game person, it's still relatively easy to get into. There are obviously certain things that make it difficult, as far as, the changes compared to Street Fighter. But once you get the hang of it, this is a very accessible fighting game. Now, is it something that you're going to get into and be a pro at? Absolutely not. Don't think for a minute you're going to get into this game, and I don't care how good you are in Street Fighter, and then just start killing people in a couple of days. It's not going to happen. You really got to put in the work. And I think the Shadow Lords mode will help casual players do that. They'll get better. They'll have fun with it. They'll have some single player aspects. They'll be able to unlock things. And that's a really cool thing. It gives this game more of a polish than what it had before. Obviously, some of the upgrades to the graphics that they've done, upgrades as far as gameplay, and, now some of the cinematics and everything. This is a complete and polished game. And it's one of the best games out there. So those are my thoughts really on Killer Instinct right now as it is. I didn't really want to get too much into the Shadow Lords. I think it's a great thing, especially for casual players. Most of the pros will probably mess with it for a little while, but if they're still into it, they're going to go right back into training mode and, go into the lab and figure out some new stuff, especially when they, add the patch and they, give Sadira her new combos and her new combo traits and, any changes they make to the other characters, and, they'll go on from there. But as it looks, Killer Instinct is starting to lose a lot of the respect from the tournament scene, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even see it in EVO next year. So, it's a sad thing, because I still think Killer Instinct is the best fighting game out there right now. I think it's hands down better than Street Fighter and MKX. Not to say that those are bad games. They're very good games, but I think overall Killer Instinct is just a better game. But we all know Street Fighter is improving, so we'll have to go from there and see what what lies in the future. But this is a good mode overall. I don't know if it's something that I'm gonna play for put a lot of hours in. I think I'm going to try to go through it at least once and, maybe unlock that astral plane stage and then just go from there. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video. If you got something to say, please leave a comment down below. And don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe. Thank you once again for watching. Mastermyne out.